Hello friends, today we will start with the lecture Soil Transmitted Helminths. Myself Dr. Vivek Vatsore, Associate Professor from the Community Medicine. What do I understand by word helminths? Basically, helminth means worms. It is a word derived from Greek which means worms. You must have known, you must have seen the eggs of or the ovas of the worms in the feces of the children. It's a very common infection and it is present in over 1 billion people out of 8 billion people. So it is generally seen where the sanitation is very poor, means there are no closed latrines, people defecate in the fields, people walk without proper footwears. So as you can easily guess, India is one of the most highest or most commonly affected countries. Based on the mode of transmission, these are classified as soil transmitted, foodborne, and arthropod-borne. The soil transmitted are Ascaris, then commonly are Tricholis trichura and Callistomerida ordinale, Nicator americans. Then these are the foodbornes, and finally arthropod-bornes. The most common is a filaria or lymphatic, which cause lymphatic filariasis, Wucherea bancrofti and Brugia malae. From this map, you can see India is one of the most highly affected countries. Similarly, the African, specifically sub-Saharan countries, as well as the Far East countries of Malaysia, then these islands of Borneo, these are the most commonly affected. It is also seen in the South American countries. But again, India is one of the highest affected country from the soil transmitted helminths. If you see the cases, the number of mortality or infections, if you can see, Ascaris causes 1450 million of the infections. Hookworm causes 1300 millions, while Trichoris trichura causes 1050 millions. 24 crore children, that is 68% of all children, are at risk of development of soil transmitted helminths. This is the estimate by WHO. Thus, India accounts for 28% of global at-risk children with soil transmitted helminths. So you can see that this is a very important problem, and this has to be dealt with because it has many detrimental effects. How to decide how much at risk the community as a whole is for development or for harboring the infections? This is classified between three: category 1, category 2, and category 3. Category 1 is high transmission community. What does it mean? Overall prevalence of the infection in the community is more than 50%, and the prevalence of heavy infection is more than 10%. This heavy infection leads to visible or leads to sequelae that makes person feel the effect. So the sequelae may be severe anemia, the sequelae may be persistent diarrhea, sequelae may be the pain in abdomen. These heavy infections are actually we cannot ignore this infection, we have to manage this infection. So severe infection is more than 10%, and prevalence of infection is more than 50%. This is called as high transmission community. Second category is category 2 or medium transmission community. It is in which prevalence of infection is 50%, however heavy infection is less than 10%. So maybe equal number of people are having infection, the presence of worm is present in more than 50% people, but it is not that much detrimental, it is less than 10% or heavy infections. Category 3 is low transmission community, where as we can easily deduce that less than 50% of infection and less than 10% of heavy infection. This index is very important, Chandler's index. It can come as a short note for 2 marks, it can come as a part of a it can come as a SAQ for 2 marks, or it can come as a part of a short note. So what is the Chandler's index? It is based on average number of hookworms per gram of feces of the entire community. So from where these species are collected, these species are collected through sewer systems. So per gram of these species, how much is the presence of eggs? That defines the Chandler's index, and from that index we can deduce whether this soil transmitted helminth is a small minor public health problem, whether it is a major public health, or it is a most important public health problem. So we can deduce this. So what is the index? So if the total number of eggs per gram of stool in the community, remember this is not for a single patient, it is the samples are collected randomly in the sewers or in public health, latrines. So it is a combined index, it's a roughly, it gives combined estimate for the whole community. If it is below 200, then it is not a significant problem. If the number of eggs per gram of stool is 200 to 250, it's a potential danger. And again, I want to clear, this is not done in a single sample, but multiple, even tens of hundreds of samples are collected from various areas, various evenly distributed areas, not a single concentrated area. So this is important, don't confuse this. If it is above 300, then it is a major important public health problem. Okay. Now, transmission cycle. Simple thing is, it is a fecal-oral route transmission. A person with infections pass these tools in feces, then these get mixed in the soil, because generally, as we discussed previously, it is more important problem where there are no proper sanitation available. So latrines are less, or people are not using them for various reasons, or the night soil is getting mixed with the routine soil. So these go and pass in the soil in favorable conditions. This egg develops, and then they can transmit it either by direct penetration or by getting in touch with the food, hands, all these things. So this is the transmission cycle. So the cycle, it's represent the cycle which we discussed. It is represented in the pictorial form. Okay, this is how the disease is transmitted. And why this is more common in children? Because children are generally sent outside, they play outside. They are the one, even if the latrines are present in rural areas, the children are exposed to open air defecations. Then they play in the mud, they generally don't have proper footwear, and then again they have habit to eat the mud. So all these come together and cause the infections. And again, it is not that common to find out the habit of washing hands repeatedly among children. So all these factors result in the commonly outcome is that the children are more prone to developing this infection. Based on the life cycle, the soil transmitted helminths can be classified as three types. Type 1 direct, type 2 modified direct, and type 3 penetration of the skin. So as the name suggests, type 3 is simple, mode of infection is penetration of the skin. It is not transmitted in the fecal-oral route, but actually through the feces, uh, the the eggs pass to the soil. In the soil they develop, and when the person walks barefoot, they penetrate actually the skin, and from that they enter the body. So this is self-explanatory. What is the difference between direct and modified direct? Basically, for direct transmission, the period of development in the soil is not at all required. So threadworm and whipworm are the examples. So what happens? As soon as the worm get excreted, then it is infective immediately. So there is no period required. So that is why these are more dangerous and very difficult to control. Then, so spraying in villages there are certain areas where people generally do defecate. These are generally along the roads or somewhere just immediately outside the village. The people, if you have traveled somewhere in the remote areas, you would have seen that the Gram Panchayat there, they spread DDT and other insecticides, other such measures to try to use such measures to avoid the transmission. But for these guys, such measures are useless. Then modified diet, it is a roundworm or ascaris. It requires a period of development in the soil. That is why its transmission is called a modified direct. Now consequences. So generally what happens, as we discussed, when there is a heavy infections, it results in the child becomes too sick or too tired or too tired to concentrate. It results in diarrhea, abdominal pain, general malaise, weakness, because what has happened, most of the micronutrients and even many macronutrients are absorbed by these worms only. Whatever the child eats, the most of the macronutrients are not absorbed in the circulation system, but instead these worms are using it. So that will actually result in the malnutrition. It can cause blood loss, because see, they hookworms actually hook to the intestine. They actually penetrate the intestine to stay there. They catch the intestine. So there will be blood, there will be the mild bleeding or blood loss, and it results into anemia. Now prevention. Though sanitation here we have written second, but remember, the sanitation is the most important weapon against the soil transmitted elements. Even before the advent of chemotherapy, Western civilization or Western countries have reduced this problem to very low levels just because of the proper sanitation. Then second is chemotherapy or anti-helminthics. Albendazole is most commonly used. Okay. Again, health education, community participation and monitoring and evaluation, these are all common in most of the preventive lectures you have listen about this, so I won't go in the detail about. Now simple steps, what can be done. So as we discussed, using sanitary toilets and not defecating outside. Hand washing, again this is very important before eating after using the toilets. Wearing proper footwears. Washing fruits, vegetables with safe clean water. This is very simple and often overlooked, especially in the commercial places like hotels. This is overlooked. Eating properly cooked food, this is also very important. Cooking properly is semi don't eat semi raw, okay, outside, especially outside. Now what is the WHO strategy? Periodic deworming of all at risk people. So who are at risk? Preschool children, so 0 to 6 years, these are all at risk. Then school age children from 6 to 14 years, and women of childbearing age group. Okay, but here we have to confirm that if a married woman, if you are targeting that, she is not having she is not pregnant, at least she is not in the first trimester of pregnancy. So and again this is important, deworming activity is integrated with vitamin A supplementation. So whenever the child comes for vitamin A supplementation, as we know that for first vitamin supplementation is given as 9 months, then subsequently every 6 months it is given up to 5 years. So whenever the child comes for that, then deworming is done along with it. If the prevalence of soil transmitted elements is more than 20%, it is done once a year. If it is more than 50%, it is done twice a year. What is the global target of WHO? To eliminate morbidity due to soil transmitted helminthiasis by 2020. Means this has been not been achieved, of course, but what was the aim? To eliminate morbidity, means heavy infection, to eliminate heavy infection among children by 2020, not total infection, because it is very difficult, almost impossible to eliminate or eradicate this problem. It is impossible. That is why we are just targeting that at least it won't be a severe public health problem, or it won't result in severe morbidities in any children. This can be obtained by regularly treating children with at least more than 75% children in the endemic areas. Okay. We have a day known as National Deworming Day. So it is conducted in February since 2015. It is regularly done every year, except some exceptions, you know that. So all the children from 1 to 18, so may it be preschool, may it be the school going, sorry, 1 to 19 years, may it be the children who never attend the schools, so all these have to be included in this. Why the fixed days approach? A single day will give albendazole to every child. So why this approach is there? First is that motivates states to prioritize deworming. As you know, the health is a state. Uh, Health is a or the matter of health is concerned with the state government. State government handles the health, any health related things. So they should prioritize. Every state should increase the participation or increase their efforts to deworming the people. So that is why motivation is very important. And single day agar rahega, if there is a one day concept, then government can do ads on television, radio, even nowadays on mobile you can see that caller tunes are there. So all this can increase the public awareness. So single day approach helps in increasing public health awareness as well as motivating the health related regulators, health related workers, all them. Okay, it helps in increasing coverage, establishes current infrastructure. So already those are, this is present, but this is utilized very efficiently. अगर आप किसी को बोलोगे कि ये 6 महीने में जाके आप ये 500 लोगों को ये दवाई लेके आओ, so maybe they will follow. आगे आज नहीं कल करेंगे, will do tomorrow, will do tomorrow. So this is a human habit. The habit, like you people always study just before exam, not regularly over the 3 years period or 4 years period, whatever your MBBS. So this is the same thing. So if you give targets to government servant that okay, in one day you have to do this 400 500 children, then they will act more vigorously. So that is why this is important. One day approach is important. The same approach was used in the pulse polio also. So what is the dose? For 1 and 2 years it is a half tablet of 400 mg, and 2 to 19 years it is full tablet. Okay, the smaller children the tablet is crushed and it is given along with the water. It is done under supervision by teacher of Anganwadi workers who are trained for this. After proper training only then this is conducted. Okay, the children having any sickness, these are not given. These are given or these are advised to take the albendazole after recovery. Okay. So this is the picture celebrating or showing what is the National Deworming Day. Okay. Now, before we conclude, I want to show you some spotters. As you know, you have 5 spotters for 2 marks each. For some batches, these soil transmitted helminths may come as a spotter, and there might be a picture of this worm and identify with reasons can be asked, or even they can show you the picture, they can give you name what is this, and then they can ask what is its public health importance and how, what is National Deworming Day. So many questions can arise. So these spotters may come for some batches, that is why we are showing them to you. So there are 3 specimens for identification: roundworm, whipworm and hookworm. So this is Ascaris lumbricoides and these are the reasons. So if the spotter comes with this photo and you are asked to identify with reasons, you can give these reasons. Okay. not for just this slide, for overall lecture. Anywhere if you find out some, if you didn't understand something, or if you want to read properly, or if you want to take down notes, so you can stop or pause anywhere and then you can read it. And even if you have not understood, or if you want some extra information, you can ping me on Microsoft Teams, and I will get back to you as soon as possible. So this is a short but important topic. I want to clarify some, or I want to guide you some things that generally it won't come for a long question, but it may come for short note, and it regularly comes for short notes, or just in the SAQs for 2 marks, where you have to just name the soil transmitted elements. It is regularly asked in Vivas. Actually, it is very common questions in your grand Vivas. And again, as we discussed, it can come for a spotter. So, I won't say this is a most high priority topic, but this is an important one. So, it comes just below the most priority. Like epidemiology is the most priority topic, or MCH is the most priority topic. But immediately after that tier, as you generally call in gaming S tier, this comes in A tier. So you have to read it, and you have to prepare it. So again, any difficulty, you can ping me on the Microsoft Teams.